The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the first race of the round of 8, and we see a lot of chaos, some drivers retaliating against each other and wrecking each other, and drivers fighting as well, and a really good finish ended off with a driver locking her way into the championship 4. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series race from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the South Point 400. We've got a lot to talk about from this race. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So, at the start of the race, you had Tyler Reddick leading the field from the inside and Austin Cindric on the outside. And we saw both Austin Cindric and Tyler Reddick go basically side by side for the first 2 or 3 laps, with eventually Reddick being able to clear for the race lead and got around there on lap number 4. Meanwhile, some drivers started radioing that basically had tire vibrations, but we basically be able to keep going. And then we saw as the run went on, Reddick dominated early, and then Austin Cindric closed in on Reddick to get around him. And as they were going to commercial, Austin Cindric got around for the race lead. Meanwhile, Daniel Suarez came down pit road first. Green flag pit stops started happening as drivers tried to manage the green flag pit stops. Everyone came in. And after the green flag pit stops, you basically saw that Daniel Suarez got the lead because he pitted a little earlier, and Bubba Wallace actually got up to second. Suarez got to the lead, and then Bubba Wallace got around Daniel Suarez about 15 laps later, and he got to the race lead. Meanwhile, JJ Lee got into the outside in turn number 3, but he came down pit road with no issues after that. And then Bubba Wallace got around Chase Briscoe to put him a lap down as he struggled early. As Bubba Wallace is trying to hold off Joey Logano near the end of stage number 1, Kyle Busch would spin off turn number 4, just got loose in the corner, and basically the caution would end up coming out. Then this would mean that Bubba Wallace, because the caution came out with Bubba Wallace leading, he would come off the corner and win stage number 1. All leaders would come down pit road, Bubba Wallace winning the race off of pit road. Meanwhile, Ross Chastain had a fantastic pit stop, and he would jump up 5 positions. On the restart, you have Bubba Wallace lead the field from the inside, and Daniel Suarez on the outside. And Daniel Suarez got a really strong run on Bubba Wallace to take the race lead. Meanwhile, as the run continued on with Suarez leading the race, we would see retaliation on lap number 95. Kyle Larson ran basically in going into turn number 3, went up the racetrack. There were 3 wide between him and Kevin Harvick. Bubba Wallace got put into the outside wall. It was basically 3 wide situation. Again, it was on Larson in the beginning. Then Bubba Wallace got really mad, throttled up, and ran straight into Kyle Larson, right-reared him down the straightaway, and unfortunately, it collected Christopher Bell in the wreck. And unfortunately, Bell would be taken out of this race as well due to that wreck after the contact between them. Then Bubba Wallace got really mad after the incident, walked up to Kyle Larson, and basically shoved him multiple times and tried to basically force Larson to fight him, but Larson did not budge. In my opinion, completely unacceptable by Bubba Wallace. And I'm a fan of Bubba Wallace, do not get me wrong, but I'm also a fan of Kyle Larson. But what Bubba Wallace did there was absolutely inexcusable. You do not right-rear somebody down the straightaway if you're upset. Again, I understand Bubba Wallace being upset, but we were under caution. You never, in my opinion, ever right-rear somebody down the straightaway. That is unexcusable and unacceptable in my opinion. And then you shove Larson after. I mean, come on. I understand you being upset and frustrated, but absolutely unacceptable. Would not surprise if NASCAR does hand out some major penalties to Bubba. I think there's some pretty big penalties coming for Bubba this week, but will they be appealed and will they win? We'll have to wait and see what happens. After that, we saw leaders come down pit road with Denny Hamlin basically taking 2 tires and being the first car off the pit road. On the restart, Denny Hamlin lead the field from the outside and Daniel Suarez on the inside. As Suarez and Denny were battling for the lead, Stenhouse's spin going into turn number 1. And then we saw Truex and Briscoe have contact going into turn number 1 as well. Briscoe and Truex would come down pit road after all that. So on the restart, Daniel Suarez lead the field from the inside and Denny Hamlin on the outside. And we saw Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain basically clear to the bottom of the track. And then Chastain got around Daniel Suarez for the race lead. The race would keep going basically for the long term. Then basically Ryan Blaney, Chastain, they battled for the lead as the run continued on. He was able to clear for the race lead and Chastain started falling back. Then basically at the end of the stage, Ryan Blaney had pulled out a little bit ahead of his teammate Joey Logano, and he would end up winning stage number 2. All leaders would end up coming down pit road with Logano basically taking the lead after the pit stops. Ross Chastain nearly got in Logano as we're exiting. Unfortunately, Ty Gibbs would get penalized for speeding, and also Daniel Suarez had a really bad pit stop, and he basically had a loose right rear wheel and dropped all the way from 3rd to 15th. So on the restart, Joey Logano lead the field from the inside and Denny Hamlin on the outside, and we saw Logano get a great run to basically get the race lead. Then Ryan Blaney tried to challenge Logano for the race lead as his car was really strong, but that would come to a halt as on lap 194, JJ Lee would actually have a flat left rear tire and would bring out the caution. It would end up going through the grass bringing the caution out. So then all the cars would come down pit road. Ross Chastain having a fantastic pit stop and being able to take the race lead. Then Cole Custer also got a penalty for speeding. Then some guys came back down pit road. Kevin Harvick and Tyler Reddick both came back down pit road to tighten wheels after loose wheels and also to top off on fuel as well. So on the restart, Ross Chastain lead the field from the inside and Ryan Blaney on the inside. And Chastain got a fantastic restart and was able to clear for the race lead. Meanwhile, a lap later, William Byron basically bottomed out on the racetrack from third position and sent Ryan Blaney up the racetrack. They both ended up saving and continuing, but they lost a ton of positions. Meanwhile, a few laps later, Austin Cindric, who was really strong early in this race, he unfortunately was slow on the back strip, the flat right rear tire. He would come down the road and would lose a ton of laps. Meanwhile, we would see some issues then for Ryan Blaney, who was catching Eric Almirola at the time, and basically Ryan Blaney was starting to catch him. All of a sudden, Ryan Blaney gets really loose in the corner and spins out and gets in the inside wall really, really hard, bringing the caution out with around 40 laps to go. All the other cars end up coming down pit road with some interesting strategy for Justin Haley, who decided to basically take 2 tires, with Ross Chastain being the first car off pit road with 4 tires. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch basically had a left front tire loose. He was really coming to the front and basically had a left front tire loose and would basically lose that tire. That is going to be a 4-race suspension for crew chief Ben Bayshore. And then Ryan Blaney was still on pit road trying to get it repaired. So on the restart, you had Justin Haley lead the field from the inside and Ross Chastain on the outside. Meanwhile, Chase Briscoe got a really great run and basically got around up to second position, as then you had basically Chastain trying to challenge Chase Briscoe basically for that second position at the time. Meanwhile, Tyler Reddick's car was really starting to come in. He was challenging up to the front, and with around 27 laps to go, they both were basically side-by-side coming there, and then Daniel Suarez got behind Tyler Reddick, and Daniel Suarez got loose through the grass, did not hit anything, but spun out, bringing out the caution with around 28 laps to go. We saw some strategy in this race where some guys decided to basically stay out, including Tyler Reddick, Justin Haley, Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain, Kevin Harvick, and William Byron, while guys like Joe Logano, Eric Almirola, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon all came down pit road. Then we went back racing on lap 246, with Justin Haley leading on the inside and Chase Briscoe on the outside. Then we saw some contact on the restart between Kevin Harvick and Tyler Reddick. And then we basically saw Landon Castle in turn 4 get up into the outside wall from 24th, bringing out the caution. He would go to the garage. Meanwhile, Chase Briscoe, who's trying to pull Tony Stewart 2011 besides winning, he basically took the lead after the caution came out. Then we saw some strategy where William Byron decided to come down the road from 11th position. On the restart, 15 laps to go, you had Chase Briscoe, actually the final restart, you had Chase Briscoe lead from the outside and Justin Haley on the inside. Ross Chastain would basically send it 3 wide going into turn number 3 and would get around both of them for the race lead. Meanwhile, Joey Logano, who was extremely on fresh tires, was really driving through this field and got up to Chase Briscoe and passed him with around 9 laps to go. Logano's car was clearly faster, so at the end of this race, Joe Logano was about a 10 for 2 quicker every single lap. With around 5 laps to go in this race, Logano had gotten to the back bumper of Ross Chastain, but Chastain threw a really, really strong block in front of Joey Logano and fell back a ton of ground. Meanwhile, back in third position, you have Briscoe and Kyle Busch battling for third, and Kyle Busch got around. Then with 3 laps to go, Logano gets a fantastic run on Ross Chastain and passes him for the race lead, gets around him, and takes the race lead and pulls away. Chastain tries to close in the final couple laps, but Logano starts to pull away, and coming off the final corner, Joe Logano picks up a very clutch victory and wins his 3rd race of the 2022 season and will advance to the Championship 4 with a victory. Joe Logano had definitely one of the best cars today, in my opinion. Team Penske brought a lot of speed today, and Logano looked really, really good today. He becomes only the 3rd driver so far to win 3 races in 2022, at least 3 victories. Joins Tyler Reddick and Chase Elliott in that club. Elliott, of course, with 5, and Tyler Reddick with 3. Joe Logano definitely deserves a win, in my opinion, and definitely deserves to be in a Championship 4. He's been really fast this year. He's been top 5 in points pretty much the majority of the year. Congratulations to Joe Logano on picking up a well-deserved victory. He picks up the win. So now we'll go through the results of today's race, and then we'll take a look at the playoff standings as well. So Joe Logano picks up the victory. Ross Chastain finishes 2nd. Chastain up and down day. He was up front at points, in the back of points, and was up front. I think he almost ended up leading the most laps in today's race, but gets a really strong 2nd place finish. Great run from Ross Chastain, a much-needed run. Coming into this weekend, you kind of knew Chastain was going to be a threat to win because they've been fast on the mile and a half this year. They gained a lot of points. Great run. Ross Chastain. Kyle Busch finishes third. How about that for Kyle Busch? Kyle Busch had a spin, had a tire come off, and still battles back to a top 5 finish. Great run from Kyle Busch at the end of the day. In my opinion, well deserved. He gets a really strong third place finish. Great run from Kyle Busch. Chase Briscoe, after struggling a majority of the day, has a shot to win and gets a top 5 finish. Chase Briscoe's coming live at the right time, and you got to be good at the right position at the right time. Has great strategy at the end and finishes in 4th. Denny Hamlin with a very solid top 5 finish. Hamlin was a favorite coming to weekend for a lot of people. He struggled in qualifying, but got a very strong top 5 finish. Great run from Denny Hamlin. Tyler Reddick, who I picked coming to weekend, looked good early, looked good at the end, just never could get back up front, but gets a very solid 6th place finish. Good run from Tyler Reddick. Mark Truex Jr. finished in 7th. Solid run from Mark Truex Jr. Was never going to be able to really snip the lead until the end, but gets a very solid 7th place finish. How about Eric Jones finishing 8th? You know, Eric Jones coming this weekend. He was good here last time, but crashed out. Eric Jones ran top 10 near the end of the race and gets a very solid top 10 finish. Good run from Eric Jones. AJ Allmendinger finishes 9th. Great run for Allmendinger. Allmendinger was quiet most of the day, but got up the 9th when it counted. Austin Dillon gets a top 10. Good run from Austin Dillon in 10th place. Dillon was quiet a majority of the day and gets a 10th place finish. Good run from him. How about Noah Gragson finishing 11th? Noah Gragson had a quiet but a respectful day. Ran top 15 most of the day, was in the top 10 for quite a big portion of the day, and gets a very solid and great experience today. He finishes 11th in the 48. Kevin Harvick, who was up front near the end, kind of fell back near the end. He finishes 12th. Still saw a run from Kevin Harvick in 12th place. William Byron, who pitted near the end of the race, he gets up to 13th. He can't have those kind of runs near the end to help you, but he did run top 10 a lot of day, but the car just wasn't good on the long run. He finishes in 13th. Justin Haley was on the front row on the last restart. He unfortunately finishes 14th. That probably was going to be a better finish anyways for Haley than he got, but still a very solid top 15 finish for Justin Haley. Haley's been knocking on some really good finishes. I think Call is going to have a lot of momentum going into next year. Chris Buescher struggled a lot of this day. He somehow gets a top 15 finish. Good ending for Chris Buescher. Daniel Suarez, unfortunately, had a spin. I think Suarez had one of the 3 or 4 best cars today. Unfortunately, near the end, lost an opportunity to win. But he does get 16th, at least got a top 20, but probably should have got a top 5 or won this race. Brad Keselowski was kind of struggled most of the day. He finishes 17th. Eric Almirola, who's up front near the end, came down pit road late and lost an opportunity to win. He finishes 18th. Michael McDowell ran top 20 a lot of the day. He finishes 19th. And then Cole Custer finishes in 20th. And we got some drama on Cole Custer that we're going to talk about. Chase Elliott finishes 21st. Chase Elliott was by far the worst performing playoff driver all day long. He's the only playoff driver who really never slipped the top 10. He was in the top 15 for a few laps. That 9 car was terrible today. They got to go back to the drawing board going into the next week at Homestead because they were absolutely horrendous. And you can't have those kind of runs if you're going to win the championship at Phoenix. Just a horrendous run for Chase Elliott. Never had a good day. He finishes in 21st. Ty Gibbs finishes in 22nd. Was in the top 10 near the end of the day. Just fell back because of unfortunate speeding penalty. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes 23rd. Corey LaJoie finishes 24th. He was in the top 15 at one point. I saw that. Todd Gillen finishes 25th. Harrison Burton, after a strong qualifying run, he unfortunately finishes 26th. Tough break for Harrison Burton. Cody Ware gets a top 30. How about that for Cody Ware? Coming back after missing last week at the Roval, he finished 27th. Saw a run from Cody Ware. Ryan Blaney, after his issues, he finishes 28th. Tough break for him. Austin Cindric, after his issues, finishes 29th. BJ McLeod finishes in 30th. J.G. Lee, 31st. Landon Castle, 32nd. 33rd for Ty Dillon after suspension problems. He went to the garage near the end of the day. Christopher Bell finishes 34th. Kyle Larson finishes 36th. And finishing last in 36th place is Bubba Wallace. So now we're going to go ahead and go through the playoff standings to go ahead and take a look at the playoff standings after today's race. Let's go ahead here in just a second and take a look at the playoff standings. So now, here are the playoff standings going into next week's race at Homestead pending post-race inspection. So Joey Logano, of course, with that win, he is locked into the next round. Ross Chastain is 18 points above the cutoff line after a fantastic run today. Chase Elliott is 17 points above the cutoff line. And Denny Hamlin, who is pretty good today, is 6 points above the cutoff line. So the 4 currently below, William Byron is 6 below the cutoff line. If he got a few more positions, he'd be close to the cutoff line. Chase Briscoe, after having a great run at the end, he's 9 points below. Ryan Blaney is 11 points below after his issues. If he hadn't those issues, he would be in for sure. He's 11 points below. And Christopher Bell, after crashing out, he is 23 points below the cutoff line. So now let's talk about the overall thoughts of today's race and give you my score of today's race. Honestly, avoiding all the controversy and stuff that happened here in the middle of stage number 2, that was an absolutely fantastic race. Definitely one of the best Vegas races I've ever watched, and definitely a better Vegas race in the spring. You had a lot of area where you could basically use the outside, the inside. The track was wide. You had great battles throughout the runs. A lot of green flag passes for the lead. And overall, just a fantastic race at Las Vegas. And overall, not some controversy with wheels, not some controversy with NASCAR. The only controversy was the drivers getting into fights after the race, but that really wasn't on NASCAR. It was overall a fantastic race. I'm giving today's NASCAR Cup Series race overall a 9.5 out of 10. The reason that the score is not, actually 9.7 out of 10. Reason score is not a little bit higher is because of the Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson controversy, but other than that, it was absolutely a fantastic race. 9.7 out of 10. Absolutely enjoyed today's race at Las Vegas. So, that is going to be today's NASCAR race review from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links in the description below for that. And combo your thoughts on today's race review. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below. And congratulate Joe Logano at advancing to the Championship 4 at Phoenix. Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video. We're going to talk more about the Kurt Busch stuff. We're going to talk about some SHR drama. And we're going to talk about the Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace feud that has started here at Vegas. Talk about that here on the channel tomorrow. And then Tuesday will be race picks for Homestead. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode. And I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.